The night always feels longer when a man is alone with his thoughts. You know this, that quiet hour before dawn, when the world hasn't moved yet, when your failures echo louder than your ambitions, when your doubts feel heavier than your strength. It's in those moments that the mind convinces you the darkness will last forever. But it never does. The sun will brighten tomorrow. Not because life is easy, not because you earned a miracle, but because the world itself is built on a simple, unbreakable rhythm. Light returns, always. And a man must learn to trust that rhythm, even when his own life feels out of tune, that the weight you carry is growing faster than your capacity to endure it. Every man knows this feeling, that quiet fear that maybe the darkness outside is starting to resemble the darkness within. But sit with that feeling for a moment. Don't run from it, because this is where the story begins, not where it ends. The dawn after darkness has always belonged to men who refused to surrender to the night. You discovered strength in places you never knew existed. And that's why tomorrow matters. Not because it's guaranteed to be easier, but because you have proof, etched into the scars and memories of your life, that you can endure what feels unendurable. A man doesn't fear the night once he remembers the sun he has already walked through, a chance to correct the mistakes you made when you were tired, or angry, or lost, a chance to become a man your future self can be proud of. Not perfect, not heroic, just grounded, awake, and willing. Tomorrow doesn't need you to be invincible. It only asks that you show up. It reveals what you've neglected. It illuminates the truths you avoid. It becomes a mirror for the man you were yesterday, and a challenge for the man you must become today. And that's why so many men fear the morning, because the light is honest. It shows you your habits, your discipline, your weaknesses, your potential. The darkness allows you to hide from yourself. The sunrise refuses to let you. It arrives to remind you that your story isn't finished, that your pain isn't prophecy, that your struggle is not a sentence. Every sunrise whispers a simple truth that men forget when they are tired or alone. Feel the disappointment, the regret, the tiredness, and let them exist without letting them define you. The night is not your enemy, it is your teacher. It is the silence that reveals what you must confront. It is the shadow that shapes the man you will become when the light returns. But dawn is the moment you choose whether yesterday controls you or refines you, and that choice is yours alone. Let the light show you the parts of yourself that deserve to rise again. You survived the night. That alone is proof of who you can become in the day. Stand up, straighten your spine, open your eyes. Tomorrow is not a threat, it is a promise. The sun will brighten tomorrow. People talk about it like it's soft, gentle, a warm belief that everything will magically turn out well. But real hope, the kind that keeps a man alive in the worst moments of his life, is nothing like that. Real hope is discipline. It is a quiet, steady commitment to act even when your heart is tired. It is the willingness to stand up when everything inside you wants to collapse. It is the choice to move forward 1 inch at a time, even when you see no proof that progress is happening. Most men misunderstand this. They wait to feel hopeful before they behave with strength. But life doesn't reward waiting. Life rewards action. And action, especially honest, difficult action, creates its own hope. Times when you were overwhelmed, confused, or broken. What lifted you from that place was never a sudden burst of motivation. It was some small decision, some controlled movement, some quiet act that created the tiniest crack in the darkness. Maybe it was getting out of bed on a day when everything hurt. Maybe it was cleaning your room, calling someone back, going to the gym, or stepping outside just to breathe something other than the air of your own thoughts. Maybe it was the simple decision not to give up. Those moments seem insignificant, but they are the discipline of hope in action. Men become hopeful not because their world gets lighter, but because they decide to carry it with more strength, a direction you choose every day, regardless of how you feel. That's why disciplined men are often more hopeful. not because their lives are easier, but because they've built a habit of showing up even in discomfort. This habit becomes a form of internal gravity that pulls you toward a future you haven't seen yet, a future you're building with your own hands. This is what happens when a man stops acting with discipline. He loses his sense of direction, and without direction, he loses his sense of meaning. Modern life breeds this kind of emptiness. Distraction replaces action. Comfort replaces challenge. Stimulation replaces purpose. And without purpose, hope collapses. Because hope needs something to aim at. They are micro-affirmations that say, I am capable of affecting my world. You don't notice how your emotions stabilize when you choose responsibility over impulse. You don't notice how your character sharpens when you hold yourself to a higher standard than the world expects. Growth is almost always silent. It happens in the background, in the dark, while no one is watching. And that's why most men quit, because they confuse invisibility with failure. They believe nothing is changing, when in reality, they are changing. Every day you choose discipline, you become slightly less chaotic, slightly more grounded, slightly more capable of facing the weight you once avoided. This shift is slow, but it is real, and it is the foundation of masculine hope. Virtue wasn't morality, it was stability. The ability to hold your ground when the world tries to shake you. Modern men desperately need this. Not forced positivity, not blind faith, not empty motivational speeches, but a disciplined, self-generated hope, powerful enough to endure pain, uncertainty, and failure. Hope that is earned, not imagined. You earn it through self-respect. You earn it through the choices you make when no one is watching. You earn it by doing what is difficult instead of what is convenient. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you begin to trust yourself. Because you know you're not lying about who you are anymore. A man who trusts himself becomes dangerous in the best way. He cannot be easily broken. He may bend. He may struggle. He may bleed. But he carries an inner light that refuses to extinguish. That light is hope. And that hope is discipline. Some nights, the darkness inside you will whisper that nothing matters. That voice is not truth. It is fear trying to maintain control. Walk forward anyway. Hope grows inside a man who keeps moving in the presence of doubt. Not after the doubt disappears, not once things feel easy, but right now, in the middle of uncertainty, confusion, and fatigue. Powerful secret, and the man who steers his life, slowly, steadily, quietly, becomes the kind of man who can look toward the horizon and say with conviction, but in the quiet heaviness that settles behind his ribs, in the tension that lives in his shoulders, in the exhaustion that sits behind his eyes. We call it stress, regret, memory, responsibility, but it's all the same weight. And most of the time, we don't even notice how much of it we're dragging into the next day, not because of what's in front of you, but because of what's already behind you. The arguments that never found resolution, the promises you broke to yourself, the opportunities you let slip by, the guilt you keep replaying, hoping it might somehow change the past. A man can spend years living inside a single day he never learned to release. This is the quiet suffering no one talks about. The internal carrying of burdens that no longer serve you, but still shape the way you see yourself. And the more weight you drag, the more tomorrow feels like repetition instead of possibility. But here's the truth you rarely acknowledge. Pain that is ignored becomes baggage. Most men try to outrun their past instead of facing it. They distract themselves. They stay busy. They pretend certain memories don't exist. But when you refuse to confront your own story, it becomes the silent architect of your life. The things you avoid begin to control you. The emotions you suppress begin to leak into everything you touch. And the wounds you deny begin to shape the man you become. Carl Jung said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. He was right. A man who never examines the weight he carries begins to believe the weight is simply who he is. But it's not. It's just unprocessed truth. But to understand yourself, what are you still carrying? The expectations of others, the fear of failing again, the shame of who you used to be, the resentment towards someone who hurt you, the disappointment of wasted time. These things linger because you haven't decided what to do with them. Burdens need decisions, and decisions create direction. Without direction, you walk in circles, repeating yesterday over and over again, even when you swear you're moving forward. Steady honesty that sounds like this. Men who confront it become authors of their future. Think about the strongest men you know, the grounded ones, the calm ones, the ones who stand solid even when life fractures. They are not men without a past. They are men who have wrestled with their past long enough to stop being controlled by it. Their strength isn't loud. It comes from knowing themselves deeply, their faults, their potential, their darkness, their light. They know where they've been, so they know where they're going. This is masculine maturity. The integration of yesterday into the man you are today, not the denial of it, not the escape from it, the integration. The weight of, I should have done better, they're teachers, if you let them be. A man who listens to them grows. A man who resists them repeats them. You carry too much because you judge yourself too harshly. You expect yourself to have known things you could only learn by living them. You punish yourself for not being the man you are still becoming. This is why tomorrow feels heavy. You're dragging a younger, less aware version of yourself into every new day. You can stop doing that. You can forgive the man who didn't know better. You can accept the man who struggled. You can honor the man who survived. Then, and only then, can you release him. The sun rises with the same warmth whether you are proud of your past or ashamed of it. You are the only one who keeps dragging the old story forward. But you don't have to. You can set the weight down. Not all at once. Not with fireworks. Just slowly, breath by breath, through understanding. Transformation is gradual. Light enters slowly. A man heals in silence before he heals in strength. Tomorrow will be brighter, not because the world changes, but because you are learning to walk into it with lighter shoulders. The weight does not define you. Your willingness to release it does. Morning has a way of telling the truth. When the sun comes up, it doesn't just illuminate the world outside. It reveals the world within you. The quiet habits you've built, the thoughts you've been avoiding, the tension you've been carrying, the man you have become without noticing. Sunrise is honest, and honesty is something most men struggle to face. If you want to know who you truly are, look at yourself in the first hour of the morning. Do you wake with purpose or with dread? Do you rise with intention or do you delay your own life? Do you greet the day or hide from it? These small, subtle choices reveal everything about a man's internal architecture. The morning exposes not what you say you value, but what you actually value. Discipline, purpose, escape, chaos, avoidance, growth. The first hour makes them all visible. Drifting. It means you've silenced parts of yourself for too long. The morning doesn't judge you. It simply shows you the truth you've been living. And truth, even painful truth, is the starting point for becoming a stronger man. Not because it made them better people, but because morning asks a simple question. A man who avoids that version has chaos. You cannot build a disciplined life around a self you refuse to meet. It tells you your life is asking for deeper meaning. If the first thing you think is, I don't want to do this again, it tells you your soul is calling for change. These patterns are not flaws, they are signals. The problem is not seeing them. The problem is ignoring them. Men ignore themselves for years. They distract, cope, consume, anything not to feel the truth the morning is offering. But the moment you stop avoiding the man you see at sunrise, you begin to transform him, even when you don't feel strong. The decision to feed your mind something real instead of something numbing. These choices seem insignificant, but they are sacred. They are quiet rebellions against the weaker version of yourself. They are proof, whispered proof, that you are capable of steering your life instead of drifting through it. You don't need the whole day to become a stronger man. You need the first 10 minutes, because how a man meets the morning is how he meets his life. But in the resistant ones, every time you choose discipline over impulse at the start of the day, you sharpen your identity. You strengthen your internal spine. You grow roots. A rooted man cannot be easily moved. He cannot be easily manipulated. He cannot be easily thrown off course. He may face storms, but he faces them standing. That kind of man is built in the morning. But grounded readiness is a man aligned with something purpose-driven. This is why sunrise can feel spiritual, even if you are not. It is a quiet calling. About my discipline, my fears, my habits, my unresolved pain, my meaning, my future. Men avoid this question because it exposes them. But exposure is a gift. You cannot build a stronger foundation without seeing the cracks. Look honestly. Look without judgment. Look with the intention to grow. Your life will begin to change the moment you stop running from the man you wake up as. He is defined by what you choose right now. Stand tall. Breathe deep. Meet the day with clarity instead of fear. Let the morning reveal you. Then build yourself from that revelation. This is how a man grows. This is how a man becomes. This is how tomorrow becomes brighter. Not because the world changes, but because you do. A man doesn't just wake into a future. He builds it, brick by brick, choice by choice, morning after morning. Most men don't realize this until they're older, when they look back and see that their life was never shaped by the big moments, but by the small, repeated decisions that eventually hardened into identity. The future is not something that happens to you. It's something you quietly construct when no one is watching. And every tomorrow you experience is the result of the man you choose to be today. Excuses won't build it. Wishing won't build it. Only responsibility can. And responsibility begins with this simple truth. One early morning, one difficult conversation, one moment of courage doesn't matter. But it does. Because nothing shapes a man more than the behaviors he repeats in silence. Environment creates direction. Identity creates destiny. Change one, and your life begins to shift. Change all three, and your life becomes unrecognizable in the best way. But most men try to change their future without changing themselves. They want new results without new patterns. They want a different life while clinging to the same behaviors. That's why tomorrow feels the same. Because you are waking up as the same version of yourself. A man capable of courage. A man capable of carrying responsibility without breaking. Your future will be shaped by the version of you that you choose to cultivate today. Not the version shaped by fear. Not the version shaped by weakness. Not the version shaped by comfort. The version shaped by deliberate effort and truth. A point on the horizon that says, you cannot build a future worth waking for and also cling to the habits that kept you numb. You cannot grow and stay comfortable at the same time. You cannot rise while carrying the weight of everything you refuse to release. A meaningful future demands a price, your old identity, the lazy version of you, the fearful version, the bitter version, the impulsive version, the man who avoids, the man who reacts, the man who escapes. Those versions must fall away, not because they were bad, but because they are too small for the man you are becoming. You cannot build a cathedral on a foundation meant for a cottage, a soul that doesn't collapse at every setback. This is how men are built. Slowly, quietly, in the mundane repetition of disciplined days. You don't become him overnight. You become him over thousands of mornings, where you choose direction over drift. The future you're meant to live is earned long before it arrives. Boundaries around your mind, boundaries around your purpose. Not to push the world away, but to protect the life you are constructing. You cannot build anything meaningful if your life is filled with noise, distraction, and disorder. Silence builds men. Focus builds men. Standards build men. When you raise your standards, your life rises with them. He doesn't rush, but he doesn't drift. He is pulled forward by purpose, and purpose makes tomorrow bright. Not because life becomes perfect, but because a man with direction carries his own light. Honestly, there comes a moment in every man's life when he realizes something quiet, something almost unsettling. But a man matures when he understands that external light is unstable. It shifts, it flickers, it disappears without warning. Internal light, the one you cultivate through discipline, self-respect, truth, and effort, is the only light that endures. And this realization changes everything. And no amount of external brightness can illuminate a man who refuses to confront his own shadows. The truth is simple. The light you're waiting for is the light you must create. The first time you face your pain without running from it. It grows every time you follow through on your word. Every time you wake early when every cell in your body begs for more sleep. Every time you push your limits, not to impress others, but to earn your own respect. Every time you choose silence instead of impulsive reaction. This light doesn't shout, it hums, it steadies, it anchors you. And over time, it becomes the quiet force that guides your life. And what you deny within yourself eventually controls you. The path to inner light is not avoidance, it is integration. Your anger, when understood, becomes boundaries. Your fear, when acknowledged, becomes clarity. Your sadness, when accepted, becomes depth. Your flaws, when owned, become fuel for transformation. A man becomes whole when he stops pretending he has no darkness and begins shaping it into something purposeful. This is what Jung meant when he spoke of the shadow. Not a monster to fear, but a reservoir of untapped power. You cannot be a bright man without first becoming an honest one. Attention, validation, recognition, they lose their spark. Because deep down, you know they cannot hold your spirit. What truly shapes you, what truly steadies you, what truly strengthens you, is the internal world you build. Your discipline, your values, your philosophy, your emotional control, your relationship with responsibility, your ability to direct your own life without waiting for permission. These things create a light that is stronger than circumstance. A man who cultivates this inner foundation becomes dependable. Not because life treats him well, but because he treats himself well. And that changes everything. He doesn't panic when plans fall apart. He doesn't crumble when people disappoint him. He doesn't lose himself when emotions surge. He remains steady, quiet, grounded. Not because he is untouched by chaos, but because he has learned to carry his own clarity through it. This is the kind of man others rely on. Not the loudest, not the strongest, not the most charismatic, but the one who has mastered himself, the one who shines from within. You only become illuminated by walking through your own darkness. This is why struggle is not punishment. It is initiation. It invites you to expand, to grow, to sharpen, to ignite something inside you that cannot be extinguished. The men who walk through hardship consciously, not with resentment, but with awareness, develop a light that radiates through everything they touch. You can feel this in them, a kind of internal gravity, a calmness that doesn't waver, a presence that doesn't fade. That presence is not natural, it is earned. Every truth spoken brightens you. Every limit pushed brightens you. Every fear faced brightens you. Every piece of your shadow integrated brightens you. Eventually you stop waiting for sunrise. You become your own. And when that happens, the world loses its power to dictate your state, because your state comes from within. This is the highest form of masculine strength, self-generated light. A man who can illuminate his own path can walk through any darkness, direction where there was avoidance, inner strength where there was overwhelm. This is the quiet transformation of a man who stops waiting for life to change and begins becoming the man capable of changing it. The sun will brighten tomorrow. But far more importantly, identity becomes destiny, and destiny becomes light. Your light, the one you build, the one you carry, the one no darkness can extinguish. Slow down now, breathe, let the pace soften, let the words land where they need to land. You've walked through the night, you've faced the weight of yesterday, you've risen with the morning, you've shaped the direction of your future, and you've discovered the light that grows quietly within you. This is the journey of a man, not loud, not dramatic, but steady. A journey built in silence, in reflection, in the moments when no one is watching. A journey defined not by perfection, but by willingness. The willingness to confront what hurts, the willingness to release what no longer serves you, the willingness to build what you once thought you didn't deserve. Let this truth settle in your chest. You are allowed to begin again. You are allowed to rise from your past. You are allowed to grow into the man you were always meant to become. There is no rush, no competition, no need to compare your path to anyone else. Your journey is yours. Your timing is yours. Your evolution is yours. Tomorrow will come, as it always does. Quiet, steady, unforgivingly honest. Meet it with presence. Meet it with discipline. Meet it with the courage to carry your own light into the world. And let that light guide you, shape you, strengthen you. Because in the end, the world does not need a perfect man. It needs a grounded one, a steady one, a man who has looked into his own darkness and chosen to rise anyway. You can be that man. And tomorrow is waiting for him. The sun will brighten tomorrow. Make sure you do too.